Hello beautiful people. Once again, we are going to talk about anything that matters. On this video we will take a look at the NBA basketball, and who is the player that can be considered as the greatest of all time. We will try to determine it in an objective manner. You as a viewer may agree or disagree with me, and you are more than welcome to share your own opinion on the comment section below. It is understood that some fans will have different reaction every time that their favorite player is being compared to others, or in some case being left out of any ranking. If your favorite player is somehow not part of the discussion, bear in mind that the creation of this project is to establish the player that truly deserve to be called the greatest of all time. Some players may have done great both inside and outside the hardwood floors, but we will solely focus on their career as a basketball player. We will talk about every possible argument and counter-argument as needed. This video is not made to undermine any NBA players both active and retired. It will be greatly appreciated if you watch until the end of the video, and hopefully you will understand why a player deserves to be called the GOAT. Help this channel grow by simply subscribing, hitting the like button and notification icon. That would mean so special for aspiring creators on YouTube. Before we go on, let us first look at the fact on why until now, even as the league is already more than half a century old, this is still a never-ending discussion. Well, it is simply because we do not want to upset the fans. Look at it this way: if you select one player as the greatest of them all, then others will be left out, not only those of the current generation, but also those who belongs in the past. Their fans will not accept it lightly. It's like a crucial ball game that can be decided by one shot, then suddenly, the least favorite player sinks it. In this video, we will change that perspective, and we will let those who will be upset to argue their case on the comment section. But in the end, we will select the greatest player of all time, aka the GOAT. There are probably a lot of arguments out there about who really is the greatest player of all time. Let us all admit it, players shine on their own different repertoire on their own era. Some few examples are the incredible handles of John Havlicek, Allen Iverson, or Jerry West, the dominating performances of Wilt Chamberlain and Shaquille O'Neal, the outstanding rebounds of Dennis Rodman and Moses Malone, the game-changing blocks of Bill Russell and LeBron James, the dead-eye shooting of Reggie Miller and Steph Curry, the mesmerizing passes of Magic Johnson, Jason Williams, and Jason Kidd, the unstoppable skyhook of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and the fascinating fadeaway jumper of Michael Jordan. So, how do we determine who is the greatest of all time amongst them? We have to eliminate those arguments that only make the fans happy and that are getting in the way of making an objective selection. Let us not focus about the what if in this video. We will not take into consideration those what ifs, we will only focus on what has been. Some people will argue that their favorite player should be crowned as the greatest if things have gone their way. So please, if it did not happen, then it does not count. Whether not having enough help, not having a great coach, or whatever it is that you might come up with. Now, we will dive on the arguments that might boil the blood of the fans. Have a look at the team accolade, like being part of the all-star team, a championship team, or even a dynasty. Does anyone would even use the number of all-star appearances as a leverage for greatness? I personally think not, since it is made for the fans and was voted by the fans. The players do not have a sole control if they will become an all-star or not. They have to be spectacular as the first criteria for this accomplishment. And being spectacular varies from different evolution of gameplay. The game evolved from the fundamentals, to towering big men, then playing above the rim, and now, as the modern NBA, long-distance bombs splashing from way downtown. Now what can I say about championship and dynasty? The term leading a team to a championship, a back-to-back, a three-peat, or even a so-called dynasty is so overrated. Don't get me wrong, I am not looking down at the value of being a champion. Every season, the expectation for championship varies from team to another. Most of the time, a new season will have a new champion. And I think, being a champion reflects the collaborated effort of the entire organization, and not just by a single player. All the way from the front office strategy, the role assumption of the coaching staff, and the synchronized performance of each player. Fans tend to argue that championship is the pinnacle of greatness, which is really not. There are players who won multiple championships just by being part of the winning team. We cannot undermine their value though, because what they bring during practices and their impact in the locker room is not covered by the media. Somehow, they boost the team in some other effort. Some of you might be wondering, if championship is not enough, then surely, individual accolade will definitely stand out. Accomplishments such as Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Season MVP, and Finals MVP, well, guess what? The reality is, those awards are decided by voting. Some of those voters don't even know how to play the game, some of them did not even touch a basketball on their entire life. That is why, some awards become controversial and some are unacceptable. Right now, in the modern NBA, being season MVP is no longer that appealing. Some players just want to secure a playoff spot and they have smart load management to preserve their body for those games that really matter. If team accolade and individual awards is not going to be the basis, then how can we select the greatest player of all time? It is just like deciding who is the winner of a basketball game, it is all about having the most points. It sounds absurd, right? You can argue that if it is the case, then players will only need to be a ball hog. But it is not as easy as it sounds. Being a ball hog will only last for a few games before it can affect the overall team performance, which may lead to a player becoming unwanted by any organization. Then, destiny plays an important part for players to accumulate as much point as they want on their entire career. One season-ending injury will have a big impact on their quest for greatness. Throughout the player's career, multiple opponents in every game will be tasked to stop them from scoring, and it is their choice on how they are going to deal with it. Don't get me wrong, I have nothing against any other player, the fact is, they all tried to climb the ladder of greatness, but, unfortunately, most of them fell short. Why? Because time also plays a huge factor. To gain more points means you need to play more games. And to play more games means you need to stay in the league for as long as possible. Again, it is not that easy, since a player must start in the league young, or play great in their old age. You might say that back then, some players were not allowed to enter the league at a younger age. But also back then, three-point shot does not also exist. What I am trying to say, is that, league changes were all part of destiny laying the obstacle for a player's quest for greatness. Back then, dunking and brute force is how the game was played. Nowadays, it is all about accuracy. All that matter is, whatever happened, the greatest player of all time is still up there on the top. Love me or hate me, but the player that is on your screen right now is the greatest player of all time. We all know him, the one and only. The GOAT. Mr. Ferdinand Louis Alcindor Jr., most famously known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He has been on the top for more than 2 decades now, and the only active player close of dethroning him is LeBron James. Until then, Kareem will remain as the greatest player of all time. After all, we are not talking about any decade, we are talking about the all-time. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to bring you more interesting topic on my next video.